Hi, Dennis.
Hey, Fessel, how was your weekend?
Pretty good, man. I've been thinking all weekend that
Yeah.
there are these big things that one can do for larger impacts in life. But you know what? It is not always easy to take those giant steps because if you take those giant steps, it disrupts many things. But I believe there are always those little things in life, tiny little things in life that you can, that, it's easy for you to do the little things and they can have a much larger exponential impact on your life. So today we're going to talk about 5 of those little things that you can do that easily today, tomorrow, and make them part of your life, and they could make your already amazing life much more amazing. Dennis, what do you think?
No, I completely agree. And kind of my approach to life and personal development always has to do with bringing things back down to the basics. And simple changes actually end up making very, very big impacts, in our overall quality of life and especially in our performance as well. So I couldn't agree more. And I'm looking forward to really kind of getting into this and getting going because I think it's just so valuable and so timely, considering the world we're living in right now.
Self off. So the first thing that one needs to do before you do anything else is to, of course, accept and understand and realize that it is doable. It's not like you can't do it. The moment you realize that you can make that change is where it all kicks off. And the first door that we need to open would be. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking and I'm you know okay, the first thing that you need to do is clean up your thoughts. You have to clean up your mind, you have to clean up your mental space as well as your physical space. Now we talked about this last week in one of our shows about cleaning up and minimalism, but minimalism is one thing. You also have to declutter. And we did talk about that. So if you have missed, you can go back to last week's shows and pick that one up. You have to declutter, and decluttering is not just a physical space, but also emotional and mental space. If you can open that door, I think that alone could, revolutionize 30 to 40% of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. That decluttering concept is so important and so valuable. A lot of times what happens is, and I just want to say this as far as decluttering goes, a lot of times we let other people occupy space in our own minds, right? And so we end up
Yeah.
basing what we do on what's expected of us, basically what others expect of us. And so in that way, when we're running our lives based on what everybody else will think, it really we're limiting our own opportunities and we're limiting the choices that we actually have. So no, I completely agree. Decluttering is it is essential, and I'm just going to say, with the acceptance part, we have to accept sometimes that our minds are cluttered. Maybe what we have to do in some cases is actually, the first step would be to acknowledge it and then declutter a little bit and go, hey, you know what, I've got to, in order for me to move on, I have to get rid of this, I have to get rid of this, or I have to add this. So whatever those are, I think that it's always very contextual. So I completely agree. Cleaning up and decluttering, that mind space. That's the first challenge that we can easily. It's a little bit easier for some than others. It depends on. Remember, we've talked about this. Our consequences of our actions, which there always are consequences to our actions, they create the choices that we have. So one choice leads to other choices, leads to other choices, and so forth. So by decluttering, we actually create opportunities and space in our mind to create growth.
Dennis, you mentioned that we may or we may not think we have clutter in our mind. I think moment of truth and reality. Even if you're Dalai Lama, I think there is clutter in your mind.
Agree.
And you have to understand that we have noise, we have the egoic mind, we have the internal conversations, and all these things put together create a clutter in our mind. And I cannot emphasize enough the impact of a cluttered physical space will have on your mind. Today I tried to set up 2 cameras while we're doing the show, and just to get the second camera up, I had to unplug my whole computer and reconnect everything. Now that's not a simple task because I've got multiple cameras, mics, wires, all kinds of jing bang that goes here. And so it took me about 2 hours to completely dismantle, rewire, clean up. The moment this whole place cleaned up, I think my mind cleared up. So when your mind will clear up, the first thing you'll do is clear your physical space. And the moment you clear your physical space, your mind will clear up. So that decluttering and cleaning up, I think, is really crucial, because unless you have peace in your heart and mind, unless if you're comfortable in the space that you're in, you cannot be enjoying life. You cannot be doing anything productive with your time on life.
No, I completely agree. And just to kind of tack onto the comment that you made about the Dalai Lama even having kind of that mind noise, I think in so many ways we try to, in our search for enlightenment and our search for growth, I think in many ways we tend to minimize the human side of us. And so, again, that's where that acknowledgement comes in. And there's a lot of talk in the world about empathy. I'm simply going to say is to learn how to empathize with yourself. Understand that we're all human, that you're a human, I'm a human. Therefore, denying the humanness of ourselves is actually going to hold us back from reaching those higher levels. So completely agree. Yeah, the first step is acknowledgement, and then of course to declutter, whether that's your space, whether that's relationships that are no longer serving you or adding mutual value, or even even if it's your desk. If your workspace is all cluttered, you're probably going to be very less productive. So, and it's funny that you mentioned that. We talk about decluttering. I spent much of the weekend taking in and decluttering, getting rid of certain things, and things I wasn't using, taking and putting stuff away. And then what I ended up finding out is, kind of for me, what I've noticed is the new place for my clutter is my desktop on my computer. There's just stuff everywhere. So I'm going to actually be spending some time today putting things in files. So yes, absolutely. The more cluttered that we are, the less opportunities that we create for ourselves to grow. So I completely agree.
Before we move on, you touched something really, really important, which I had missed. Yes, declutter your relationships.
Yeah.
Any relationships, work, personal, which are not serving the larger goal in your life, you need to let go. And I'm sorry, this didn't go into a direction which I don't really want to go into right now. But yes, if there are relationships in your life which are cluttering your existence, it's tough, but you got to let them go. You have
absolutely
to,
at least well. Compartmentalize it in your mind enough to where that's not affecting you or holding you back any longer. So yeah, and that's certainly not what we're talking about today. So, but I'm making a note of that we can get into that at another time.
Right. Okay, exactly. That's a topic by itself. All right. The next thing is no regrets. You cannot have regrets because yesterday is dead. There's nothing you can do about yesterday. You cannot possibly at this time until we have time travel. You can't possibly go back into the past and change it. Whatever's happened has happened. You cannot regret what has happened. Yesterday, the past, even the past moment has now become a truth. It's a truth. It has happened. Regretting is an emotional dilemma. It's an emotional pocket. It's an emotional vacuum. So staying in that vacuum, you're basically slowing yourself down and holding yourself back while the world just swishes you by. So getting caught in regrets is it's going to take us in another direction of self-pity. Which is again a topic by itself. But regrets in life over lost relationships, lost people, lost opportunities, lost money, lost businesses, anything, whatever is lost is lost.
It's already
you
gone.
can learn from it and move on. And I will add here, there are no losses in life. Every shit that has happened to you in life was nothing but a learning. If you use it as a learning. If you turn it into regret, then it is a disaster. It's a minefield.
It totally is. And I like to refer to regret as a belief system trap. Because what that does is it traps us. It holds us in. I mean, in so many ways, we become prisoners of our own past. We're slaves to our past, and and in many cases, I see this, pretty frequently, and I've fallen into this myself, which is trying to make up. trying to make up for something that maybe I had done, or something I didn't accomplish. I go back and try it again. And I think what's really important is just that regret is a form of living in the past. And in order to really move forward, we have to reconcile with our regrets and just say, hey, you know what, like you said, I mean, again, I can't, for me, metaphors are extremely important. And that's why the sunrise is so important to me, because everything I did that day before, I'm now having another opportunity to get up and take whatever I wanted to do yesterday. Today I can try it again. I can go at it and put myself in a position to kick its ass, as opposed to sit around and dwell on it. And I think this is living in the past and regrets. This is what people, I don't want to say depression, because that to me is a clinical term. It's why people have the blues. It's why they're sad. It's why they don't want to get up out of bed. It's, instead of looking at, okay, well, I wasn't super successful yesterday in this category, but I'm gonna attack it again today. But what we've learned, if we look back at it, the experience, now what we're doing is we're taking learning forward. So we might not get whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. We might not get it right today, but now we know another way that it's not going to work, and so we don't have to do it that way again tomorrow. The true regret is getting up and doing the same thing over and over and over, and being upset with the result. That, I mean, if anybody wants to regret anything, that's probably what you should regret, is regretting that you haven't figured out a way to get out of your own way and to really kind of start moving forward.
And that would happen if you don't see the past as an experience. If you see the past as a part of your life and hang on to it, then you'll keep repeating the same stupidity that you did yesterday. And you talked about, in that loop. I think that's just a loop of stupidity. If you're not learning from experiences, if you're not learning from what happened yesterday, if you repeat the same thing today, you are being self-destructive. So regret, for the sake of regret as an emotional event, regret as a mental vacuum, is very self-destructive. So it is imperative that you don't hold on to whatever has happened. And when I say the past, I don't mean the distant past. I mean the immediate past, the immediate moment that was before this moment. The sentence I said, that's just the past. Yes. And here's some more past. So every moment, the past moment is the past. Just let it go. Just let it go. Keep pushing forward. If you can't push forward, you will never get anywhere.
No, absolutely. And Faisal, the thing is I think I'm going to challenge everybody's thinking just a little bit right now, which is that a lot of times we look at regret as things that we didn't necessarily, we continue to live in the past. And whether that's regret from things that we didn't like, or maybe things that we didn't necessarily accomplish, or relationships that went bad, I'm also going to say living in the past and continuing to focus on our past successes, that holds us back as well, because the world changes. The world changes. So just because I did something 5 years, listen, the world changes even faster than that. What I was doing 3 months ago, let's just go back to January. All of my plans that I put into motion for January, things that I had built based on what had made me successful, guess what? That's all changed. So if I continue to try to bring that forward, I mean, all I'm going to experience is challenges, just challenges and challenges, because things change. The world changes. Therefore, we have to be adaptable and flexible enough to change with the world.
I was watching this somewhere today. I don't know what's the truth in it, but this speaker was saying that Einstein, when gave one of his exams to his freshman or some class. So his assistant said, but isn't that the exact same test, exact same questions you had last year? And Einstein said, yes, it is exactly the same. And he said, but why? He said, because the questions are the same, but the answers have changed. Yes. In 1 year, with discovery, with learning, with personal experiences, you could keep having the same environment, same situation, but the way you deal with it is completely new, because you've learned something with your past experiences, and now you have to handle life in a completely different way. So regret, holding on to your past mistakes, holding on to your past successes even. What you were successful at yesterday, you will not be successful at today. You can't keep repeating the same thing. So, and especially in today's world where things are changing so dramatically and so exponentially fast, we would think that the industrial age was changing things exponentially, or the internet was changing. No, 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 no. Thanks to this COVID, that curve has straightened up even further.
Yeah.
There are changes at such unprecedented speed. And if you hold on to the last moment, you're screwed, my friend.
No, totally. And I'll just say this, as a moment of clarity for me, last week on the Back to the Basics show, we really dove into vulnerability and the benefits of making oneself vulnerable, and really kind of get into that and talking to people that are they're experts in that field. I'm just going to come out and say that was a week ago. I think we did a week ago, Tuesday or Wednesday. I think Wednesday. My feelings on that topic of vulnerability have already changed. So to go back and that's just what I'm saying is it was a good show. We had a lot of engagement, a lot of viewers. However, my views on that have already changed. I would not teach that I wouldn't deliver the information in the same way. And that we're talking less than a week. And that's not because of a world event. That's because I gained more knowledge. I gained more knowledge in a certain area. And when I gained that knowledge, the real regret is holding on to a belief system that and not acknowledging the fact that we do change and our views change as well.
As a speaker and teacher, you would relate to this. What you're saying is absolutely right. And as a teacher and a speaker or as a trainer, I understand, because many a times you'd be on stage or in front of an audience and saying something, and as you're saying, you realize the folly of your whole concept. Yep. And you're like, you know what, this is the last time I'm presenting this, because I just realized no one has to teach you. Just by teaching, you learn so much. Absolutely. And while you're speaking, while you're addressing, you evolve. And the next time your whole concept is just different. So nothing is carved in stone. So you got to let go and move on. Which Absolutely. Brings us to the next door, is you have to also accept the situation, the circumstances. Mm-hmm. Every moment deals you new cards.
Yes.
Every moment, every choice you make, every moment in your life is a new choice. And yes. when you have multiple choices available to you. When you make a choice, new cards are dealt to you, and you got to play those cards. You cannot say, I'm not going to play these cards, or life is unfair. No, you made a choice. Mm-hmm. As a consequence, life dealt you cards, and here you are. You have to accept the circumstances. You got to hold the cards, and you got to play the cards to the best possible capability. Yeah?
I completely agree. And I think the way to accept circumstances is to take concepts like fairness and understand they are 100% BS. There is no such thing as fairness at all. And you know what? Is the world fair? I don't know whether the world is fair or not. What I can tell you is the world changes. The world is what it is. Everybody, coronavirus, we had no choice. I mean, let's just be honest. I really was looking forward to my travel schedule this year. I really was. But you know what? It's about accepting it. If I was still pining away and trying to book speaking gigs that require travel, I'm not going to book any right now. Very few, because virtual is what has taken over. So I completely agree. And I guess my question, FQ, is what's a circumstance that you've had to accept recently that's not exactly what you thought it would be? What's changed in your world? Something simple.
God, so much has changed. So I traveled all of February, and I had planned to travel again in April, to the point that I actually did not completely unpack my hand luggage and all my electronics and my charging cable. I left them in my hand luggage thinking, I'm going to travel again in 4 weeks. And everything has been disrupted. I think it was the 7th of March, I sold all my old computers. I had a lot of old laptops, the ones I used to use. Yeah. I sold them all. And 2 days later, everything locked down, and I have just won my desktop, and I was going to go buy a new computer. It's gone. And just the way I was working, just the way I was conducting my business, we had meetings due, and suddenly there are people in the loop, myself included, where I no longer want to do what I was doing. The projects I had in hand, I think they're useless now, and I'm actually not pursuing them. I'm a broadcaster by profession. My whole broadcasting direction has changed. I'm completely not doing what I was doing last month because I've had to accept that the world has shifted its axis.
Yes.
Time has shifted its axis. Everything has changed. The frequency has changed. Now, one would say that, what's the big deal about coronavirus? Coronavirus is not a big deal. This COVID is not a big deal. It has come before in the name of MERS and SARS and Ebola and HIV and the Spanish flu and the Black Death. This has happened repeatedly in history. But I'm sure every time it happened, it affected people similarly. Of course, SARS did not change so much because it was still localized, but things like the Spanish flu, I'm sure it brought changes into people's lives which was relevant to that time.
Absolutely.
Today, it is bringing changes in our lives, not just healthcare, but the way we worked, the way we existed, the way we conducted our life, our careers, our families, the way we dealt with money, the way we did business, the way we traveled. Everything is transformed. So it's not just little changes. I think my whole life is upside down. The whole concept of what I was doing, the spaces that you're living in, the utility of everything that you own has changed.
Yes. And I completely agree. And it's, again, we talk about, we're on accepting circumstances, and the world did change. And the interesting thing for me is about 2 months before the coronavirus really caused everything to lock down, I had, like you, I had gotten rid of equipment. And you know what I got rid of? Video equipment and broadcasting equipment, because I'm going to be a live speaker guy. And that's what I was doing. And so, but now, guess what? And here's what I found. I got rid of most of my equipment, and what I kept on, I held on to a few things that I used occasionally. And what I have found is, man, I didn't need the stuff I had in the first place. So I'm just also going to say, as far as the accepting circumstances, one of the easiest ways to do this is to just simply look at what's better. I can tell you, man, I am so glad that being quarantined, being locked down, man, I got the internet. They didn't have that in 1918. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have the internet. They didn't have the ability to communicate with people across the globe. So it's just it's really a deliberate practice of saying, this is good. Really focusing and pointing out the good. And please understand, I'm not just saying to just be flowery about this. It's being very realistic. Like I am glad. I'm glad that we have the internet. If I had been locked down without the internet, it might be a different situation for me. Yeah.
Not just the internet. It's interesting you said I'm glad. I was getting videos today from somebody saying that there was this presentation somewhere in the U.S. whatever saying about thinking area of the mind and a virus could go and change that, and all the conspiracies, and it's about a vaccine. I don't know. That is stuff I cannot change. I have no control over the origins of where it's going. So I can either live in fear of, oh my God, what's happening? Denial, it's nothing, or regret, oh my God, what has happened? Or I can say, hang on, it's fantastic this stuff has happened. Let me see what I can do with these new cards. So when you said, I'm grateful this has happened, yes, be grateful that this has happened, but only if you're not caught in your regrets. If you're okay with accepting who you are, if you're okay with accepting the circumstances, only then you can turn these lemons into lemonade. Otherwise, you just keep staring at these lemons and look for these conspiracy theories. And almost, I'm sorry, a lot of people, a lot of countries are being suicidal. You will do that. But if you say, here's an opportunity, maybe we can just change everything here, redo our life, rethink our whole existence. Yeah?
Yeah, and what struck me is recently this weekend, I heard somebody talking, because I was out trying to get some groceries and things like that, and they were making the point. They looked at me because I had a mask on, and they're like, "You're letting China win." I'm like, "What?" What are you talking about? You know,
No,
and so I'm
I'm
just
trying
going
to
to say,
stay alive. I'm not letting China. When I'm trying to stay alive, man.
right. Let's, for me, this has nothing to do with China, anything like that. It's really interesting how how we try to take and make sense of the world. And really what we're doing is by trying to make sense of it, we're not accepting the situation for what it is. And if we want to take and look at, the government, they're just trying to lock us down so they can force more stuff on us. And, over here, it's always, the thing you can get everybody going on is, oh, they're going to come and take your guns. You lived over here. You lived in the South. You know what I'm talking about. As soon as you start mentioning that's a big deal. They're going to take your guns. Like I've never had anybody come and try to take my guns. I mean, I don't. Nobody wants my guns. I don't really have any. So, it's just funny to me that's the thought process. It's like, wait a minute. So that's really staying stuck. That's almost a form of regret that things aren't the way that you want them to be. And those aren't even things that we can control. So regret, again, that's such a big one. It's in accepting the circumstances. This is what we have. This is what we have. And in fact, I just told somebody the other day, they're like, hey, you really don't have to wear a mask here. I said, oh, thank you very much. I said, and you know what? You really don't have to insert yourself into my fucking business. There you have it. So I think truly one of the easiest things for us to do that makes our life more amazing, and we didn't list this one simple thing to make your life way more amazing: mind your own business.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the final door. You can accept the circumstances and you can learn new things.
Yeah.
Case in point, Dennis and I have been talking about doing a show together for about, I think, 6 to 8 months. Never happened. And suddenly we found ourselves in this lockdown. And initially we tried to do a recorded thing. And one day I said, hey, Dennis, let's just go live. And you know what? Once you do live, it's very difficult to go back to recording. Though recording has its own charm and beauty, but once you do live, it's almost impossible to go back to recording just because of the ease of it. So yeah, we learned new things. And every day, Dennis and I, we were talking about new things. We're talking about, starting a new business. We're talking about how we can benefit, how we can help, how we can help other people, how we can teach new things. He's an NLP master coach. I'm an NLP practitioner. But you know what? That's one thing. There's so much more we can offer alone and together. So we're constantly trying to learn new stuff. I'm doing new things which I had never done before. I'm spending 5 to 6 hours a day just picking up new stuff. I'm constantly trying to absorb new knowledge and learn new tricks, learn new tools, acquire new capabilities. Because whether the world changes or not, this is an opportunity where you can say it's a downtime. And people may think that lockdowns are ending, this downtime is ending. I personally don't believe that. I think there's a lot more lockdown in our way, in whatever form, whether a resurgence of this virus or whatever. But I think it has changed us forever that we don't have to step out so much. We will now have a lot of home time, a lot of me time, a lot of alone time. We in the past 3 months have all acquired new tricks of video broadcasting, of conferencing. There's so many people doing live streams this day. It's amazing. Amazing. So my point here is learn new stuff, man. Just hang on to what you know, yes, but for God's sake, learn new stuff for the new world, and not the new world being created by COVID. By new world just being created because of evolution of mankind, evolution of space and time, yeah?
I completely agree. And what I'm seeing, FQ, is a lot of holding on to the past, because if you, at least here in my country, it's wanting everything to get back to normal before all of this hit. And the thing is that things were changing regardless of whether COVID had hit or not. I think what's happened is this has challenged people's thinking. And for many people, this has challenged their thinking. And for a lot of those people, they're not capable of handling the challenge. And that's really what it comes down to. I think when I look at all the stuff over the world, and I understand that the media plays a part in this, and that they're showing a small percentage of people. What I think is really, really interesting, has been exposed through all of this, is human beings' inability to sit with their own thoughts. Human beings' inability to be told what to do, even if it's in their best interest, and now I don't want to do that. So, but at the end of the day, it's because I can't sit with my own thoughts. So it's a really interesting concept and construct. I'm going to just say, as far as learning new stuff, I think Nike says it the best in 3 simple words: just do it. That's it. Thank you, Nike. That's brilliant. It couldn't be said anymore. Back to the basics. Just do it. And to your point about going live, I wasn't real comfortable with the videos, but I was comfortable with you, so I was figuring out a way to make it work. I remember when you said, "Hey, let's go live." I know I was agreeable, but that is not what was going on in the back of my head. What was going on in the back of my head is, well, what's the schedule? What are we gonna let's create a 30-day plan. Let's create all of this planning that goes into it, and what it took, just do it. Just do it. Sometimes the only way to get out of your way is to shut your mind off and do it. You know what? If it hadn't been successful, I would have said, no, I won't do it anymore. I'm afraid. But that's not what happened. It turned out by just doing it, man, I invited so many blessings into my life. Truthfully, I got to know a ton of more people. I've had a great cultural experience. I've learned several new skills. It's caused me to rethink my business in what I think is going to actually be much more profitable and much more productive. So just do it. That's the easiest thing I can say. Thank you, Nike, because then I don't have to create like cool sayings like that.
And the most amazing thing is we've only just begun.
Yes.
It hasn't even started yet, man.
I completely agree.
All right, so we have time. Yes, we do. So let's look at the comments quickly. I'm going to go backwards on the comments. So the most current one is here. I have some ego and I don't like being told what to do. Dennis, I think, you know what, you should mark that as a topic in itself, where, people, in your words, what you just said right now, even if it's their own interest, they know it's in their interest. And deep down, people want to do what you're telling them to do, yet, like Rafi said perfectly, ego will hold you back, and you will not take that advice, even if it screws you up, even if it, does you harm, just because you're being given the right advice by somebody else. So you will fight it, deny it, resist it, and actually be aggressive about it, even though it's in your interest. So if you can manage, Dennis, that is a topic.
No, I think that's actually a really great topic. Man. Is we most of us don't like to be told what to do because we feel like in some way that takes away our agency. However, I'm just going to say, but without really getting into that topic, because I think that really could be expounded upon. I'm just going to say is again, we don't want to be told what to do. However, I don't look at it as being told to do anything. I feel like I've been asked. And even if we don't want to take and look at it from, I'm wearing a mask so that you don't get sick, I don't think it's that altruistic for me. I'm going to wear a mask so that I don't get sick. I reduce my chances. And if it helps you in the process, even better. So I think that it's actually giving me agency. It's not taking anything away. It's giving me the opportunity to take and protect myself in a way that our country, here in the U.S., which is really surprised is much a big part of the fashion world that we are. I'm actually really surprised that more people haven't latched onto the mask, just because it's a fashion statement. I mean, it certainly can be. So
absolutely,
completely agree. Yeah, thank you. That's a great question.
So Hamath is a good comment. If I'm alive and healthy, don't mind China winning. Yeah, absolutely. Live to fight another day, man. What use are you dead? you gotta live to fight another day. You have to come back next time, man. You can't go down. Once you're down, absolutely. It's over.
And I'm just as a side note, it's really been interesting to me. Something that just kind of popped into my mind this weekend is, man, if there's a natural disaster, I'm here in the U.S., we call that, so if it's a hurricane, a tornado, a tsunami, any of those things, what do we call it? We call it an act of God.
Yeah.
Coronavirus is an act of the Chinese, though. To me, it's the same as a natural disaster. If there was a tornado that hit my area. Yeah. If I would take and act differently. And I think what it is because we can't see it. Here in this country, we're either calling it, our administration's calling it the invisible enemy or the Chinese virus. So the invisible enemy, it's not invisible. It is not invisible. All I have to do is open up the news feed and see mass graves. That's not invisible.
Well, even if that doesn't help, maybe you should visit the COVID ward at a hospital. Please do. That'll sort your reality out.
And I'm just, and I'll say this too, kind of along some of the lines, things I've seen you post recently, and I completely agree. This whole thing with herd immunity, if that's what your thing is, then do what people do with the chicken pox here in the U.S. and they bring everybody together and they have chicken pox parties so that all the kids get it. Or there's even things that you can go by, like people will give their children like lollipops to suck on when they have an illness. And that's what they do. They suck on them and then they sell those lollipops. It is the most egregious thing to me ever. But if that's your thing, then infect yourself. I would love for anybody that you want to be an experiment, please do.
Yeah, but stay the hell away from me, man.
Stay away from me, sure. Let me know how
how it goes, huh?
Let me know how injecting Lysol and let me know how that works out.
Or sticking a UV light down your throat, or other
places. And I'm just going to say, when I spent 22 years as a paramedic, and I will tell you, there's a number of people that decided to put light bulbs back up in there. Yeah. And so if you're gonna irradiate anything with UV lights, just understand, if that breaks off inside, like, you're screwed. So enjoy that.
Why did they do that, man?
I don't know, Fessel. It's really interesting, and this is a topic for another time.
A light bulb.
You don't even understand how many things, how many people I ended
other
up
things
working
I
on.
Understand, but a glass light bulb, very breakable.
Two liter soda bottles. Light bulbs, 2 liter soda bottles. There was even somebody that decided to give themselves a plaster of Paris enema. It's supposed to get hard.
Paris enema?
I'm not joking. Yeah, and it hardened. Like they ended up with a colostomy.
Okay, can you make a list and we can do this maybe too?
Oh yeah, this is a good one. I'm not joking. The stuff that people put up inside their backsides, it's unbelievable to me.
Can you mark that as a topic? You make a list and it'll be a funny one, man.
No.
We'll do a special one on this. Okay,
I'll remember.
COVID-19 is just a trigger.
I gave myself a
wiggle
reminder.
in your chair, man. Okay, COVID-19 is just a trigger. It changes how people change their views and lifestyle. Thank you very much. Absolutely. Very well said, sir. It is just another event and not the first, not the last.
Nope, it is not.
Busher shares left the class. Thank you very much. I'm glad I could explain better. Wish every day was like a game show, lifelines in real life. Oh, you wish. Okay, question. How do you coach your mind to deflect or downplay past negative memories, especially when they rebound back? Merely saying I accept does not simply relieve from the memory nor gives closure. They keep recurring in your head. Dennis?
Yeah, listen, I mean, here's the thing, Ahmad, is that we're not going to get rid of anything. So that's one thing that's a part of that acceptance part and acknowledgement part, is these memories exist. Now you have to think about it, is it serving you? Again, you're telling yourself a certain story. What I would say is we downplay the negative memories when they rebound back. What I'm going to suggest is look back at these negative memories that you're referring to, and I would venture to say they've changed over time. So we've ended up adding or deleting things from that particular story. We all do it so that we save memory space in our data bank. So that's just kind of the natural thing. But the way that so what am I trying to say? It does not relieve the memory, but what you can do is assign a new meaning to that memory. And then that assign a new meaning to it, and now we're getting into something that we should talk about, privately. So I recommend you go to my website, tyrellcoaching.com, and schedule an appointment. And what we can do is really look at how to take these memories and put them into perspective. And I'm going to use a word that a lot of people don't like to talk about, but it's programming. We program, meaning we intentionally think a certain way. And the counter argument I always get to this is that, oh, so you want me to lie to myself? Listen, you already do anyway. We all do. We certainly believe all the untrue things that we tell ourselves about ourselves. So if at the end of the day, what it's doing is just creating a new narrative, and when you practice the new narrative, you're going to see that it gets better and better, and it's not going to be as impactful. Yes, the events happened. The events happened. However, we're still taking, and what we're doing is we're minimizing the effects of it. And there's tools and techniques in order to do that as well. So again, go to my website, TyrellCoaching.com, and just click on the link to contact me, and we'll get you a quick appointment.
Okay, and just to add a little bit to that, is you said it, it's a memory. Memory is nothing but a creation of your mind. It's something here. It is not physical. Supposing you were beaten as a child, it is a memory. You're not being beaten today.
Correct.
You can never erase your memories, like Dennis just said. Memories are going to be there. Memories will come back. How the memories affect you, or how you react to the memories, both mentally and physically. Now, mentally, you may not understand or believe, but your mind is capable of completely turning your physiology upside down. Your mind can make you sick. Your mind can make you actually fall sick. Your mind, just an event, can cause a heart attack. How do you think that happens? Because the mind can take an event outside of your body to a point where it can actually cause your heart to shut down.
Yes.
So your mind is very capable of doing that. So whatever memories you have, understand they're memories. They're not reality. What's turning it into reality is your head, is your brain. And that, yes, of course, Dennis can help you. And there are many other ways of doing it, which I'm sure if you have a chat with Dennis, he'll let you know. But
Absolutely.
It's nothing to be scared of. It's super easy to do. You just need the right kind of guidance.
It's
And once
scarier
you
to
have
live.
that,
Yeah. It's scarier to live. To me, it's so much scarier to live with unpleasant memories and thoughts. It really is. And I just want to, like, kind of a simple example. Usually when our memories, they kind of run through our mind like a movie, something that we're watching, a motion picture. Whereas reality, what we've done is we've taken a bunch of still shots and we've combined them. And there might be some flaws in individual still shots that now it's affecting the whole outcome of the rest of that movie that we've pieced together. So there are some simple techniques. So Ahmad, thank you very much for bringing that up. Please, like I said, contact me on my website, TyrellCoaching.com, or get to me on my Facebook page, Tyrell Coaching, and it's probably a little easier than what you think it is.
all right, similar comment. We'll just touch it quickly for the record that sometimes things happen and those things make it hard for us to let go or move on. If it's a physical situation, Rafi, sure. If it's someone's holding you back, yes. If you got chains on you, sure. But everything else is emotional. But if it's physical, yes, of course, that's a physical problem. Rafi, sometimes too many things fall apart simultaneously. Yes, Bursha. Sometimes things happen that makes it hard for us to let go. Okay. Yes.
Agreed.
Doing the same thing and expecting a different result is definition of insanity. You can say that, or stupidity.
Yeah.
If I regret everything I said or did, then I may as well wallow in self-pity, cause what is the point? No, wait. If you regret everything that has happened to you, is fine. You better regret if you've been an asshole to somebody. If you regret everything you've said or done, if you've done evil things, please regret. If you said evil stuff, please regret, resent, go and apologize and make up for it. Repent, not resent, but
There
repent.
you go.
So you gotta regret. You gotta regret your evil. You gotta repent it.
Regret is good if it leads to repentance.
Yeah.
In those cases, absolutely.
Okay. Why does it say FQ squared on the top? Did I accidentally? Oh, I think it was earlier. I forgot to change the slide. I had actually done a show with the actor hero Faisal Qureshi yesterday. So this Faisal Qureshi and that Faisal Qureshi used to do a show at one time, long time ago. It was called FQ squared. So we had put that slide, and I think I forgot to take it down just for reference. All right. Okay. What else? Are you seeing something I'm not, Dennis? You've got interesting comments here?
Yes. So this one.
Put it up, man.
Yes, that's what they're trying to do through the light bulb. They're trying to they're those light bulbs up the backside. It's I guess that's a form of enlightenment. That Mr. Munir, thank you so much. That's brilliant. I'm going to laugh on that all day. So thank you.
Okay. I disagree with only 5 things that maybe might more than that depending on personality time. Let's say before lockdown, did anyone ever think to wear a mask or isolate and social distance? That is circumstantial change. I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir.
Yeah, and I just want to say, as far as disagreeing with only 5 things, yeah, there's many more things. There's many more things. We just, in a broadcast like this, we can only cover so many. So, and I think we tried to hit on the highlights. And acceptance is really, really key in being able to move forward. So, thank you for that, though.
I think that if to send the energy of COVID-19 disappearing from the world by our thoughts, that might work. Agree? I don't think so. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I'm just gonna say, we still live with AIDS, HIV, right? I mean, that's still here, and we've just figured out a way to live with it and to manage it. So I think that for at least the next several years, we're going to have to deal with this. I mean, if you look at something like measles. We have measles pretty well contained. The only time we end up with measles outbreaks is in groups of people that don't get the vaccination. So, if we don't want to do what's in our own best interests, I don't know. I have a hard time finding empathy or sympathy for that.
Yeah. Okay. Last 2 comments. Your topic is really helpful, interesting. Thank you very much, Khushbu. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
And as always, if there are any topics that you want us to take on, please message us directly. Go to either one of our websites, message us on Facebook, message us. We'd love to hear from you. And we'd even on Fridays we take participants. If you want to join us, please come in. We can take live questions. Rafia, I know I forwarded. Thank you very much, Rafia.
Thanks, Rafia. We enjoy having you. You're amazing.
And we like your new picture, by the way. Nice DP. All right. Well, that's about it for tonight. Dennis, any closing comments?
No, all I want to say is, I really appreciate the comments and the engagement. Work on accepting. There's another comment on here about programming. I can definitely help you with programming. It's not as scary as many people think. And for tonight, or actually for you all in the morning, tonight's episode of Back to the Basics is going to be on creating balance. So I know that's a big topic right now, so we're going to cover that tonight on Back to the Basics. It's not really as difficult as a lot of people want to think. So join me, I guess, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. I'll be on Fessel's channel as well as mine. So if you have not connected with me, please do. You can find it at Tyrell Coaching on Facebook. And you can also find my Dennis Tyrell and connect with me personally as well.
I just realized my other camera is showing here on the flip. Interesting. Oh, well. It's all right. So I actually made a better recording of this in real time. Well, thank you very much. Until next time. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night. If you have any topics in mind, please contact us, let us know. And we'll see you then. All right. Good night.